This is Eric. I'm giving another home data center update. Today is November 27th, and here are a few of the updates since my last video. So I went ahead and installed a Cisco 3650. This is a core switch. It is doing layer 3 routing between the different VLANs. There's a few that I don't have inter VLAN routing enabled as it is not needed. But this right here is currently what I'm using as my core switch. This will eventually have an ASA 5506, however I do not have one of those yet. I'm just using a Cisco Meraki MX64. The other new addition is a Cisco 2504 wireless LAN controller. This has a 25 AP license. This little box is going to be controlling a few 1702, 2702s, and a 1602 that I'll have just for testing purposes. Right here you can actually see a 2702 has the external antennas. And then here is a 1702, and then that is just a standard wall mount. It has no external antennas. That has not been programmed yet, but once it is programmed, those will be replacing the Meraki MR18 that is up here in the top that I'm currently using as my current wireless system. Another new addition is a Cisco 2921 ISR series router. Now if I open up my cabinet here for a second, you'll see that it has a few FXO, FXS, and then 2 T1 ports. And then this is what I'm going to use as a voice gateway for an upcoming Cisco CUCM deployment that I'll be doing here at home. And the purpose of doing that is to integrate directly with Skype for Business, which is running on the Hyper-V servers I have down here. I have currently 4 front-end servers, 2 back-end SQL servers, a persistent chat pool, an edge pool, reverse proxies, a call quality dashboard, and then a real-time specific manager server that runs on that, in addition to the system center deployment and a few other things that I have running. Dialing out via the phone lines is brought to you with a incredible PBX server, and I do a SIP trunk between that box and my Skype for Business environment, and that incredible PBX server has I believe 20 Google Voice accounts tied to it that I created with 20 VIDs, and that allows me to assign those different numbers to different fake users within my lab environment here. In terms of what servers I had since the upgrade, nothing has changed as of yet, but that is all to be determined as future upgrades come forward. Another thing I got was 2 24-port patch panels. The top one is a Cat 6 and the bottom one is a Cat 5e. I'll more than likely be using the top one, but as I have no runs around the house yet, those are still not being used. This empty 2U space is going to be for a cable organizer. And then down here, eventually I want to add a second 3650 and add that as a stack, so I have a redundant core, so if a core switch were to fail, that will continue operating in. And then the other blank space is for the second 2901, which will be used as my perimeter router for my Skype for Business Edge servers. I still haven't rehooked this thing up yet. It has been a little bit of a quick weekend, so unfortunately, that isn't running as of this time, but that will be running by the end of this week. And then this other 1U space that's in between this and that 2921, that will be used for a 1U cable organizer. So actually that 3650 will be moved down, and I'll be adding that 1U cable organizer to that. And then down here I have an APC UPS, currently just with the servers and the server switches that I on the back. We're drawing about 45-46% load, which is pretty darn well. Considering that's my first UPS that is managed by the network, so if there's a power outage, it'll actually shut the servers down gracefully before they just do a hard shutdown. But I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the back of the rack here in a second. So kind of coming around back, this is going to be the view without any additional lighting. If I go ahead and turn the light on. This is just kind of be the view of the back of the rack. I have a cable line coming in here for the modem, but what's nice is I ran it through one of the squares for the rack mount equipment, so that way the cable stays nice and stay sturdy inside the rack. Here's a back view of a few of the piece of equipment. On this 3650, I just have a single power supply. It does support dual redundant power supplies, however I do not have the second one. But it's perfectly fine if I'm going to be running a redundant 3650 here in the future. There's the back of the 2901, and then there's the back of the 2921. There's back of these Hyper-V boxes and that nest, but down here you will notice that there is a new, and don't mind the cable clutter, that will be eventually addressed when I get some server rails. But I have two 2960S series switches back here, and these are actually stacked together, and the port channels that are for these servers are actually spanned across them. So if I were to pull the power to any one of these switches as of right now, all the servers would continue to remain online as the port channels between the switches are split. So I have redundant links to the core switch, which are right here via 8 on 1 gigabit cables. There's 4 per switch, and then all the different port channels for the servers run back here. So that's a very, very nice piece of redundancy back here. Eventually I will be replacing these 2960Ss, as I am limited to 6 port channels, which pretty much makes it so that in the current configuration I'm at the maximum number of port channels that are allowed for these switches. I want to go ahead and get 3650s as well, but those are a little bit pricey, so I might be selling on the 3750Xs, which aren't that old of a switch, but they would allow me to have a lot more port channels for these switches. But more on that in the future. But for right now, it's actually handling what I need perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm going to kind of go around and give it another tour in the back of the rack, or the front of the rack. So back here to the front, here's another quick span of all the equipment that I have as of right now. And close the door. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment those below or send me a direct message over Google. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video to see more in the future. Thank you very much.